There is a kind of pain that doesn't show up in medical exams. It doesn't bleed, but it weighs heavy. It doesn't scream, yet it quietly corrodes from within, like an echo that lingers through the days. Many of us carry this silent burden, masked by routine, trying to keep going even when everything inside seems to want to stop. We feel something is missing, a purpose, a meaning, a connection. But what hides behind this emotional void might not be a flaw or a weakness, but a language. A subtle, vibrational language that can only be understood when we listen with an awakened heart. According to the teachings of Abraham Hicks, every emotion we feel is not random. Each feeling, from the lightest to the heaviest, carries a specific frequency. It's as if our emotional system is, in truth, a spiritual GPS that tells us, at every moment, how close or far we are from our higher self. This perspective changes everything, because it invites us to step out of the victim role and become conscious interpreters of the messages the universe sends us through our own vibration. We're not here to control our emotions or suppress them with forced positivity. We're here to understand them. Because emotion is the first portal to manifestation. Everything we create, relationships, health, abundance, or lack, is born from the vibration we sustain. And that vibration first appears as feeling. This is why emotional pain, when listened to with care, can become our greatest ally. It reveals where we're still misaligned, where we've forgotten our truth, where we've stopped listening to the voice of the heart. This video is an invitation to deep listening. To look within with courage and gentleness. To see every emotion as a messenger, not an enemy. To understand that feeling is not weakness, it is an essential part of the awakening process. Because every emotion has a purpose. And every pain, no matter how intense, carries within it a key to expansion. The key that opens the path back to your center, your power, your alignment with your higher self. You are not broken. You are in vibrational transition. And that transition begins with embracing what pulses within. Let us explore together this invisible map of consciousness, where each sensation is a sign, each frequency a step, and every tear may be a calling back to your own light. Sometimes we feel as if we're lost inside ourselves. As if emotions drag us into unpredictable spirals with no clear direction. But what if there were an invisible map guiding this flow? A silent, yet precise scale that shows us where we are, and where we can go internally. Abraham Hicks offers us this compass, the emotional scale. It organizes our feelings in a vibrational hierarchy, from the densest to the most elevated. At the top lie states such as joy, gratitude, freedom, and love. At the bottom dwell emotions like fear, despair, and powerlessness. Every step on this scale is a frequency, an energetic state that not only shapes our perception but also attracts experiences that resonate with what we feel. Identifying where we are on this scale doesn't require judgment, but presence. It's the simple act of asking, "How am I feeling right now?" and allowing the answer to surface without filters. Sometimes, we find ourselves in anger. Other times, in frustration. Some days, we're visited only by boredom. And that's okay. Because we're not stuck in one place. We can move, step by step, like turning on lights in a dark hallway. Here we reach a crucial point, the importance of recognizing and accepting negative emotions. Not as obstacles to overcome, but as legitimate indicators of misalignment. It's not about remaining there, but neither is it about denying them. Rejecting what we feel is like trying to heal a wound by pretending it doesn't exist. Acceptance, on the other hand, opens the space for healing to begin from within. When we feel fear, sadness, or anger, the universe is not punishing us. It's simply showing us that something in our vibration is asking to reconnect. Abraham Hicks reminds us that even the most uncomfortable emotions have a sacred purpose, to remind us we can still choose to align with our source. This realignment doesn't happen instantly. It's a journey, an unfolding made of small conscious steps. It's the journey of emotional ascension. Rising up the scale doesn't mean leaping from pain to ecstasy. It means moving from guilt to frustration, from frustration to contentment, from contentment to hope. Each step matters. Each micro-choice of vibration counts. The practice of gratitude, for instance, doesn't need to be grand. It can begin with appreciating a sunbeam in the morning, the taste of coffee, or the silence of a peaceful moment. These small anchors uplift us, not because they hide what we feel, but because they remind us of what we're still able to feel. The emotional scale is not a rigid staircase. It's a compassionate mirror. It doesn't judge, it simply reveals. And the more we learn to recognize it within us, the more we can navigate our reality with presence, awareness, and vibrational power. The goal isn't to reach the top, it's to keep moving, one truthful step at a time, with soul and sincerity. There are moments when pain arrives like a silent avalanche. Not to destroy us, but to wake us up. It doesn't ask permission or offer explanations, it simply settles in. And in that deep discomfort, we're forced to pause, to observe more closely, to listen to something we've long ignored. It's in this space that pain reveals itself as a catalyst, not a punishment, but a push for expansion. According to Abraham Hicks, everything we feel in misalignment is a signal that we are ready to go beyond what we know. From a vibrational perspective, emotional pain arises when there's a significant contrast between what we are living and what our soul knows is possible. This contrast generates the creative impulse. Pain is the space between what is and what could be, between the current version of our life and the reality our essence already glimpses as true. That gap is not empty. It is charged with potential energy. It's like a fold in the quantum field, waiting to be crossed with awareness. But to cross it, we must face it. Allow the pain to speak. To show its inner images. Its forgotten roots. Its subtle messages. When we do this with courage and presence, something begins to move. Because every unresolved emotion is blocked energy. And all energy, when recognized and welcomed, transforms into a creative force. This is how pain transmutes into insight, into clarity, into renewal. Here we enter one of the deepest laws of manifestation: our emotions shape our reality. The quantum field doesn't respond to what we intellectually wish for, it responds to what we feel with truth. This means that if we carry unprocessed hurts, silenced resentments, or chronic sadness, even if unspoken, we are emitting a frequency. And that frequency speaks louder than any words. We vibrate our pain, even in silence. And the universe responds, not to what we want, but to what we are on the emotional level. That's why Abraham Hicks emphasizes the importance of aligning emotion with intention. Wanting something isn't enough. We need to feel we are worthy of it. We need to vibrate in coherence with what we're asking for. Not to please an external deity, but to connect to our inner source. When emotion and intention meet in harmony, the field responds. Reality begins to bend to the new vibration. And what once seemed impossible begins to unfold as possibility. Of course, this doesn't happen overnight. Transmuting pain into power is a process. But it's an accessible one. There are practices that support this path. Meditations that reconnect us to the silence where healing begins. Visualizations where we can recreate our inner images with light and love. Affirmations not just spoken, but deeply felt, as if the soul were speaking them on our behalf. These techniques are not magic, they are portals. And their strength lies in gentle repetition, daily presence, and the vibrational intention with which they're performed. Because when we say to ourselves, with honesty, I allow myself to feel, something opens. Something aligns. Something returns to the original flow of life. Pain was never a mistake. It was always a call. An invitation to expand consciousness. And each time we listen to it with compassion, we take another step toward our inner power. A step that is not loud or grandiose, but real, deep, and transformational. Understanding emotions in theory is not enough. The real shift happens when we bring this wisdom into our daily lives, when we transform insights into practices, concepts into presence, and awareness into a vibrational habit. Living in alignment is not a fixed state, but a choice we renew each moment. It's like tuning an invisible instrument, one that must be listened to with care and attention every single day. And that tuning begins with a simple yet revolutionary gesture, emotional self-observation. Creating the habit of asking yourself throughout the day, how am I feeling right now, is one of the most transformative acts you can practice. It's not about overanalyzing or trying to fix anything. It's simply about noticing, feeling, acknowledging. When we do this honestly, even for a few minutes, we begin to notice subtle patterns that once went unnoticed. Anger doesn't appear out of nowhere. Sadness has an origin. Anxiety has a history. And by naming what we feel, we bring light to what was once hidden in the dark. This practice can be supported with emotional journals, simple reflections that connect us with our inner rhythm, or with mood tracking apps that gently remind us to return to center. But we're not just shaped by what we feel alone. We're also deeply influenced by what surrounds us. This is why living in vibrational alignment also means being mindful of the environments we inhabit. Everything has a frequency: conversations, sounds, objects, and spaces. And when we intentionally choose what we allow into our field, a piece of uplifting music, a quiet moment in nature, or a piece of art that moves us, we begin to build a vibrational support system around us. This doesn't mean avoiding everything that hurts or bothers us. It means learning to counterbalance, to nourish the system with beauty, with lightness, with stimuli that reconnect us with the soul. A space with flowers, a candle lit at dusk, a quiet corner for conscious breathing, these are small gestures, but with immense vibrational power. Because they remind us, even in chaos, of who we are beyond the external noise. And perhaps the most profound aspect of this emotional integration is forgiveness. Not forgiveness as a moral concept, but as a frequency that liberates. The anger we hold against ourselves, the constant inner criticism, the harshness with our own healing processes, all of this traps our vibration in repetitive cycles of self-sabotage. Liberation begins with a single act, looking at the parts of ourselves that still hurt and saying, with presence and compassion, I forgive myself for not knowing better. I accept myself where I still feel broken. I choose, gently, to be kinder to myself. This choice changes everything. Because the vibration of forgiveness is one of the most restorative that exists. It doesn't erase the past, it rewrites the present. It doesn't make us perfect, it makes us whole. And being whole, even with imperfections, is what brings us closest to the purest vibration of our soul. Integrating emotional wisdom into daily life doesn't require grand rituals. But it does require truth. It requires consistency. It requires love. A love that begins within and expands into every gesture, every word, every vibration we choose to sustain. This is how alignment becomes a way of life, not as a spiritual obligation, but as a dance with the universe. A dance in which every emotion is heard, every breath is sacred, and every choice brings us closer to what we truly came here to live. There is a quiet beauty in recognizing that we are not adrift. That what we feel, no matter how intense or confusing, has a deeper purpose. That our emotions are not detours, but paths. That every vibration, every internal wave, every tear shed without explanation, is in fact a sacred code. A vibrational bridge between who we are today and the fullness of who we are becoming. Abraham Hicks teaches us that emotions are messages from our higher self. They don't appear randomly. They are not punishments. They show up as beacons. Vibrational indicators of how in tune, or out of tune, we are with our essence. When we feel spontaneous joy, deep gratitude, or that inexplicable sense of peace, we are in resonance with Source. But even when we feel pain, sadness, or exhaustion, we are still being guided. Only now, through contrast. This understanding changes the way we walk through life. Because instead of fearing difficult emotions, we begin to listen to them. To hold them with the reverence of someone who knows that everything, absolutely everything, is part of the soul's journey of expansion. There is no unworthy emotion. No wrong feeling. There is only energy in motion, asking to be seen and understood. And when we embrace this deep listening, we discover something even more powerful: we are not alone. We never were. The universe responds to our vibration with loving precision. It hears what we whisper in silence. It feels what we carry in our chest, even when we cannot name it. And it responds, not with words, but with synchronicities, with encounters, with subtle sensations that touch the soul and remind us we are being guided. Living this truth is becoming a conscious co-creator. It is realizing that the external world is not the cause, but the consequence. That reality is shaped, moment by moment, by what we allow ourselves to vibrate. And that every emotion embraced is a step on the invisible ladder that leads us back to our center, the place from which all true manifestations are born. So if there is pain today, listen. If there is confusion, embrace it. If there is emptiness, stay. Because in that space, something is being born. Something greater, more authentic, more aligned with your soul. Emotion is only the messenger. And you, by listening with presence and truth, become the alchemist. The one who transforms pain into direction, fear into clarity, silence into connection. In the end, it all comes down to this: listening to what pulses within. Responding with kindness. And allowing that listening to become a path. Because when we honor our emotions, we don't just heal, we come home. And you? Are you ready to listen to what your soul is trying to say through what you feel? Perhaps everything you seek outside is hidden in the vibration of a feeling you have yet to embrace. This is the invitation. This is the portal. And you are already standing before it.